All right, nothing fancy, but I don't think I really need anything fancy for this. So what I want to do here, and this is something again like a lot of videos, by the time that I actually get around to doing it, it's something that I've been tempted to do, to talk about in a video for a while. And so what I'm going to call this one probably is something like 3 games I would play if I played non-hockey games. This channel, so far anyway, to date, has been hockey exclusive. It'd be pretty strange, actually, with a channel name like Hockey Unreal, if I started playing games that were not hockey. Not that there aren't other channels in the community that might play a sport other than what may be in their channel name. I can't think of an immediate example, but that's just my inability to think on the spot. But I am quite sure that there is at least one or two in the community. Anyway, that's besides the point. That's not really what I wanted to get into here. What I want to get into here, as I said, there's a few games, and there are more as well. So already I'm qualifying this with a bunch of things, but there are more games. Just because I'm listing 3 here doesn't mean that there aren't other games that I see being played in the community, and also just board games in general, actually. And not to get off on a tangent, but I do play and enjoy games that have nothing to do with sports. I wouldn't, play them on this channel, but yeah, so 3 games that I would play. I don't know, just in case maybe anyone is curious, and I won't rule out the possibility that I may play these games in the channel someday, because one of them I already have, and the other 2 I'm planning on acquiring. So, though I've yet to play any of them. The first one, actually, I've not officially played it, but I was involved in a league as like a participant, as a coach GM type role, and that game is Gary Brown, Stone Mountain Press. Hopefully, this will be large enough to see reasonably well on camera if you're watching and not just listening. But Grid Zone. So, Grid Zone, I have a team. This is going back a little bit, but Jason Graham, and he had a number of channel names while he was making videos on YouTube. And he had this Patriot Football League. And so I was kind of coach, GM, owner, or whatever of a team in his league for a while there, for some seasons, for several seasons of it, actually. And I don't have Grid Zone yet. And the only reason why I don't have Grid Zone yet is because I'm designing a few different hockey games. I say that I have like 4.5 or 3.5 hockey games, which really means that some games are a hybrid, a combination of maybe a few ideas from the first one, and then some from the second and third one, all kind of blended together. But one that I'm working on is what I consider to be largely, it's a combination of Jason's own Flash Hockey game and Gary Brown's Grid Zone. And for that reason, I don't have Grid Zone yet, because I'm almost scared to get Grid Zone, and that I don't want the hockey game that I'm working on to be too much like Grid Zone. I know Grid Zone is not hockey, it's grid ball, it's a fictional sport. It's a fictional football-esque, American football-esque sport. But I don't want my hockey game to just be, so ridiculously similar to this that it's like literally Grid Zone on ice or something. So I've not bought this yet, but I will say this: my right hand, honesty, Scout's honor, or whatever, or in Korea they do almost like a pinky swear promise that the moment that I finish, if I ever finish, and I know I'm not too good at finishing games, I talk about them certainly a lot more than I finish them. With that said, I don't want to finish and rush something out, and I'd be quite skeptical if somebody said, yeah, it took me 6 weeks or even 6 months to design this game. So I've been working on a few games for the past couple of years. It started out as one and then mushroomed into multiple, but Grid Zone, the moment that I finish and release that game, and when I do, I'll completely say that the game would not have been possible without Flash Hockey and without Grid Zone. But the moment that that hockey game comes out, that's when I buy Grid Zone. Because I'm just before that, I feel like if I really looked at all the nuts and bolts of Grid Zone too closely, then what I come up with is it might just be a little too. I don't want that to taint the creative process, I guess. So that's why I don't have Grid Zone yet. The second game actually is one that I do have. I've not played it, and I've yet to print it as well. But I do have the components for it. I have, downloaded them, opened them, had a look at them, and seen them. And that is Fast Drive Football. And yes, I'm kind of doing like old school hockey guy here, though of course he would be in front of the camera with a jersey on. I'm not much of a jersey wearer myself, and especially after the pandemic hit, basically what I do for work, my face is on camera a lot. So when it's my my leisure time, I don't want my face being on camera. Uh, anyway, so it's already on there too often as it is. But so Grid Zone Fast Drive Football to this Al Wilson's Fast Drive Football. I think it's absolutely fantastic what he did. Just making it available for free and then suggesting a donation for it. And I really like how and I plan on doing something similar when I release hockey games. I don't want anybody not to be able to afford what I release. And certainly for the first, couple or few or whatever, whenever they come out, I really, really like an idea like this. I don't know if I'd ever set up anything as official as he has done. I might just do a simple like pay it forward and consider, a donation to anyone who needs it sort of thing. And as he has done, other than that, just make it entirely available for free. But again, I also really like the way that he had his website set up in that there were a few you could donate to the charity of your choice, but he also had a few charities featured there. And as someone who I don't think that I have quite the experience with cancer among a family, although I don't think that there is a family that isn't affected by it, and some family members, but I didn't and that includes mine, but I didn't. I guess I didn't want to choose between diseases, and so I there was for charity, and so there was also the Equal Rights Justice Initiative, I think it is called. That was, and that's who I ended up donating to when I downloaded the 1990 season NFL football season and the components for Fast Drive Football. And I've not played it, but I've watched and listened to videos, and had a look at the components and everything like that. And I guess again, I can't speak to it as a player, but from everything that I've seen and witnessed, it really looks like a very well put together game. It's very clever, and it looks like it flows very well, and like it would just be a lot of fun to play, especially. And this isn't me, but especially if you are an NFL football fan. I'm a casual, just very occasional football fan at best. My football fandom basically extends to if a friend or family member, an NFL fan, if they're watching it and I'm watching it with them, I can genuinely kind of get into it as well. Like I can get and understand the appeal, but I'm not altogether overall a big football guy. Anyway, so Grid Zone, Fast Drive Football, and the third game, and this is one actually that I was already going to do this anyway, and again, I was going to make this video the other day, and I was thinking about making this video for a while, but I am going to, and again, I promise, I pinky swear I do whatever. The moment that I'm done this video and the camera's turned off, I'm going to go and order this because I found out, I mean, for what it costs to get like a PDF of this game, again, even if I don't play this play it on this channel because it's not a hockey game, obviously, and even if I don't really get around to playing it for a while or altogether all that often, again, it just appears to be an incredibly well-designed game. And looking at what you get just to get a PDF of this game, it just looks incredibly reasonable to me. So to support the artist, the designer, the creator, if for no other reason, with a small fee contribution, and that is, and again, this is the first thing I'm going to do actually after I finish this video and upload it when I'm off camera. But Glory Days Boxing. I was just listening to I was listening to Anthony Crooks, the creator, designer of this game, and Al Red Sox fan, talking about the third fight between Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. And I was already planning, again, like I said, I was going to do this. It was that wasn't what tipped it or what influenced it. That just reminded me of something that I really, really wanted to do, which was get this game. I'm not really an active fight fan. That goes back to, I don't know, goodness, like when Sugar Shane Mosley was in his prime, I guess, and Mayweather was, still fighting at like 130, 135, in and around that era is when I was a much bigger boxing fan than now. But it just looks like it's just an incredibly well put together game. And I mean, what I'm planning on getting actually are the heavyweights. You can get it for like, I think it's $8 a PDF. and it's like 102 heavyweights come with it. And so even after printing costs, I mean, that's an incredibly reasonable deal. And again, Glory Days Boxing is a game that I've seen other people in the community, numerous ones play. I've listened to a whole bunch of Al Red Sox fans fights. And also, too, I have pulled up on this computer to sort of to watch. Probably I'll put it on and listen to it as I'm ordering this game. And that's the Replay Gamer. The Replay Gamer has a Fury Wilder fight, and so I'm going to go and listen to that. I'm going to order Glory Days Boxing. And again, mechanically, it looks incredibly well put together. Aesthetically, it looks like time and care has been put into it. I'm probably just stating the bloody obvious to anyone who's really familiar with this game. But these are three games that I would say, just again for really the combination, the package of they look incredibly meticulously, very well designed. I already feel like I have some experience or some connection to each one of them, even if I've not played any of them on this channel. Because again, this is a hockey channel. This is a hockey only channel. Hockey comprises, most to all of my active sports watching and following. And I think that the community is already incredibly well served when it comes to football, baseball, fighting, boxing, basketball, and all kinds of other sports. And so I realized that relative to some of them, hockey's a little more niche, a little more fringe. I could probably even have a few more subscribers and stuff like that if I did play some baseball and football on the channel, but that's not really what I'm about in doing this. But I don't know, just to kind of satisfy my own curiosity, and just in case, if there might be a few people who are curious, for whatever reason, I just thought, because again, even as a hockey game designer, I've already mentioned this, as regards Grid Zone, but I certainly, again, I'm not setting about to copy anybody else's game. It's a small enough community that it would be recognized immediately if I did. But I take inspiration from all of these games, all of this stuff. I get inspired by, by it, or take inspiration from it, even if these aren't hockey games necessarily. And I do this with other board games as well. I have on my phone, meaning to get back to it and listen to it. I have, oh goodness, if anybody would be familiar with, it's a Jamie Stiegmeyer and his board game company, Stonemeyer Games. And I forget the name of the gentleman that he's interviewing on Zoom or Skype or whatever, but they're talking about combat systems in board games, and I mean, even from that, I can listen to something like that and then start thinking about like match in hockey on ice, how I might be able to use something like, if not necessarily exactly, but sort of take that and go, well, how could I maybe do something that's kind of similar? Is there any influence there that I could use for, say, resolving a matchup, an on ice battle, a puck battle, something like that? So where I can apply something from that game into a matchup system in a hockey game. Anyway, I'm probably overstating it, as I normally tend to do, but I just really wanted to talk about a few games. Again, Grid Zone, because I've already, as a participant at least, if not a player, I've already been involved with this game. And so the moment that I get done the game that I don't want to give away the title. It's similar to Flash Hockey, but the variation on that is a Flash Hockey Grid Zone hybrid that I've been working on off and on for a little while, because again, I got a few other games on the go. Fast Drive Football, just because I think it's fantastic what Al has done, and even not having played it myself, having watched and listened to and looked at what I did download, it just, it looks like, again, the time and the care and everything that Al Wilson put into this and putting it together is phenomenal. And Anthony Crooks and Glory Days Boxing. Again, I'm about to go and get that PDF and the heavyweight set momentarily, because again, I'm reminded, actually, I was going to mention this, a bit of a footnote here. Ringside Hockey, which is a game that I've not played in this channel, but it's a game that I have some. I have just the basic, like the core game, and that was like, I think like 10 or 11 bucks in PDF or whatever it was. Anyway, it was very nominal, minimal, and reasonable fee. And I thought, like, just to, I mean, goodness, just to support a little bit in some small way, Jeremy Bailey, the creator of that game. Ringside Hockey is a game that I just, again, because I do, believe it or not, I work, full time, and then sometimes on top of this. So I can't really fit in a 3+ hour hockey game into my schedule. I feel like someday, maybe, hopefully, if I have, a little less time working and a little more time to work with for things like this. But I just really wanted to support him. And so, similarly, I guess, to get back to Anthony's game, Glory Days Boxing, I'm not necessarily saying that I'm going to start doing boxing on a hockey channel, or even that I'll necessarily get around to even playing a whole lot of it off camera. But I mean, geez, for a minimal fee, just to support, again, he's a creative guy and really a pillar, really outstanding in the community and everything like that. And it just, again, at the end of the day, just watching this, I'm like, man, it's boxing and I play hockey, here, and but it's just, it looks like such a well put together game. So again, there were other games that I could have mentioned. Shout out to Replay Basketball. I have the PC demo for that anyway. Might end up going. Basketball, it's a little harder because basketball, I'll be honest, it's a little harder for me to pretend to like the sport itself. Sorry if I've now alienated and downvotes over here somewhere and blah, blah, blah. But, do what you need to do. But just talking off the cuff here, from the heart or whatever, just, what comes to mind. But again, regardless of how I feel about the sport, the genre, the whatever, it's very well put together. It's very well done. I greatly enjoyed actually watching, again, to mention the Replay Gamer, going through. Somehow I got about a week behind on his stuff, so I'm catching up bit by bit there. I had thought I had notifications on, but checked and they weren't for whatever reason. And so he had a video. Well, he probably actually close to a week ago, but I watched it last night. And as he goes through that, and I'm just, I'm watching this, and what the designers, what the creators or whatever of that game were able to squeeze out of like some 2d6 rolls and some single d6 follow-ups. Or I guess if you weren't playing with the cards, you'd roll all three at once. I think that's what the PC Replay Basketball simulates with its closed engine, which also you can roll your own dice. I'm probably saying nothing that no one who'd be listening to this doesn't know already, but again, it's another example that I could include silently, even if not in this board, because I do want to keep this to the three of games that I guess, yeah, if I played non-hockey games, they are games that certainly, I recognize and acknowledge as being games that are incredibly well put together. And for that matter, payoff pitch, inside pitch. There are inside pitch, actually, the cards, the grid, and everything looks kind of similar to the Replay games. So anyway, this probably doesn't need to be 17 minutes, 7, much less 17, but somehow I got there. So, talking passionately, I guess, about these games and some other things in the community, and anytime, any consideration that you give to anything like this, while it's never expected, it's always appreciated. So, let's see here. This is still a relatively fresh mug, so of iced coffee there. So, cheers, thanks, and bye for now.